especially college-age women. They felt it was so important to create a new generation of role models for the men that are their age, because they say that
according to ongoing industry chatter, something significant has reportedly unfolded in the Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni dispute, and many observers within Hollywood claim the entire situation carries an unmistakable sense of urgency and underlying panic. Rumor has it that Blake Lively's legal team recently submitted a new letter to the judge, pressing for an immediate final ruling, a move which some insiders interpret not as a quest for justice but as a strategic attempt to retain control of the narrative before any further developments can complicate matters. This sudden push allegedly coincides with Baldoni's looming appeal, a stage of the process that could potentially bring fresh scrutiny, previously sealed materials, and unresolved questions back into the spotlight. Sources familiar with the situation have suggested that Lively's lawyers may be deeply concerned about what could be revealed once the higher court reviews the wider body of evidence and procedural history surrounding the case. What makes the situation all the more intriguing is that the letter itself, according to those following the proceedings closely, does not resemble simple administrative paperwork but rather appears to be a calculated, high-stakes effort to reframe events before Baldoni has the opportunity to advance his arguments. Lively's team is reportedly requesting that the judge formally close the matter, despite the fact that several important components, including attorney fees, sanctions, and the still unresolved anti-SLAPP motion, remain outstanding. Observers have questioned why such haste is necessary, with some speculating that once the appeal is properly underway, previously confidential depositions, discovery documents, and alleged connections involving external parties, including speculation around Ryan Reynolds' company and its purported role in earlier stages of the dispute, could potentially be unsealed, thereby disrupting the highly managed public image that Lively has maintained in recent months. To various Hollywood insiders, the letter reads like a preemptive attempt at public relations, a bid to project confidence, to declare victory, and to present an image of closure before any additional complications have the chance to surface. Yet those same insiders are reportedly far from convinced. Many claim that the timing and tone reflect something closer to anxiety than triumph. Fuel was added to the fire when, shortly after the filing made its way to the court, an unusual wave of online press activity suddenly appeared, complete with confusing timelines, dramatic headlines, and questionable exclusives that seemed designed to distract the public from the legal developments. One particular story from Radar Online resurfaced a previously debunked allegation claiming that Justin Baldoni had sent someone to trespass at Travis Kelce's home to serve a subpoena on Taylor Swift. The difficulty with this narrative, as several outlets had already noted, is that the incident occurred weeks earlier. Baldoni had been cleared at the time, and records from multiple sources, including earlier TMZ coverage, indicated he had no involvement whatsoever. The abrupt reappearance of the old story, splashed across entertainment pages as though it were fresh, has led many commentators to suspect it might be an example of crisis management PR, a diversion aimed at making Baldoni seem erratic while shifting attention away from the more complicated legal issues surrounding Lively's position. The timing has been viewed by some as too convenient to ignore, with quiet speculation pointing towards Leslie Sloan, Lively's longtime and well-known publicist, as a possible orchestrator. Sloan has a reputation for robust damage control strategies and for turning chaotic situations into ones that garner public sympathy, and industry observers argue that this latest media flurry fits squarely within her established playbook. While none of these interpretations have been confirmed, they have nonetheless fueled widespread conversation about what might really be happening behind the scenes as the case edges closer to its next pivotal stage. Hollywood watchers say this entire situation has become a textbook example of panic-driven the kind that appears when a legal strategy starts wobbling and the public narrative becomes more important than the courtroom itself. Commentators argue that when a legal foundation begins to crack, the headlines must work overtime to distract, confuse, and control public perception, even when those headlines bear little resemblance to the full picture. At this moment, many observers believe Blake Lively's team is attempting to defend not only the appearance of a legal victory, but also the polished, carefully curated image of a celebrity empire that has taken years to build. Yet with Baldoni's appeal reportedly approaching and the possibility of previously hidden evidence being reviewed by a higher court, it increasingly appears to some that damage control alone may no longer be sufficient. In court, Lively's camp has been trying to project confidence and finality, but critics say that outside the courtroom they are relying heavily on the press to shape the narrative, a strategy that is beginning to backfire. While her team has been accused of scrambling to bury unflattering stories and flooding the media landscape with optimistic, sometimes premature headlines, Justin Baldoni has taken the opposite approach. He has adopted a posture of total public silence. No statements, no interviews, no strategically leaked information, nothing at all. According to industry insiders, that silence is precisely what has put Blake's team on edge. They suspect Baldoni's quiet approach is not hesitation, but a deliberate, calculated move designed to let the facts eventually speak for themselves. Sources close to the situation claim that Baldoni's legal team is quietly preparing an appeal to the Second Circuit Court, a move that, if accepted, could reopen the entire case for review from the ground up. Should that happen, evidence Lively's side fought vigorously to seal, including various discovery materials and internal communications, could once again come under scrutiny. Some onlookers speculate that this might shed new light on the behind-the-scenes activity, the disputed discovery process, unanswered procedural questions, and online chatter around external entities allegedly linked to the early stages of the conflict. Rumors have circulated about business connections, corporate decisions, and data access concerns involving third parties, though none of these discussions have been confirmed. Hollywood PR experts have begun weighing in, with several suggesting that Baldoni's silence may be a strategic matter, while Blake is visibly engaging with the press, intentionally or unintentionally reinforcing the idea that public opinion still matters. Baldoni is reportedly playing a longer, quieter game. Each time a flurry of headlines appears, his lack of reaction draws more attention to the contrast between the two strategies. Some observers argue that this contrast is deepening the cracks in Blake's carefully managed public narrative, prompting the public to reassess assumptions they once took for granted. Increasingly, people are asking the same simple question: was Baldoni ever the villain at all, or was he merely the one without a platform to speak? If the appeal proceeds, the consequences could be dramatic. Commentators speculate that Lively's carefully stacked house of cards built on curated Instagram images, red carpet appearances, and a steady stream of positive press might be placed under a far harsher light. Documents that have remained sealed for months could, in theory, alter the public's understanding of the dispute, according to filings and industry reports. These could include emails, internal memos, and discovery materials that some claim are linked to corporate decisions and legal maneuvering behind the scenes. Speculation has even touched on third-party companies associated with Ryan Reynolds, with online commentators circulating theories about legal actions and data access, controversies tied to earlier stages of the conflict. Although these conversations remain unverified, the mere possibility has amplified the sense of tension surrounding the case. If even a fraction of the sealed material becomes public, analysts suggest the storyline could shift dramatically, not just for Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, but for the broader network of individuals and companies orbiting the dispute. If those documents are ultimately unsealed, industry insiders suggest they could expose just how far Blake Lively's inner circle allegedly went to shape the narrative and influence media coverage. Legal commentators have pointed out that the ramifications could extend far beyond the courtroom, potentially involving major media outlets such as the New York Times, given their history of reporting on leaked materials and high-profile legal disputes. What is at stake is no longer just legal fees or procedural outcomes. According to sources close to the industry, the real concern lies in safeguarding reputations and preventing powerful Hollywood names from being publicly entangled in scandal. Should these files come to light, the carefully constructed, flawless image of Blake and Ryan Reynolds, long considered Hollywood's golden couple, may face irreversible damage. For years, the pair were perceived as untouchable, polished, and perfectly in control, a symbol of the ideal celebrity couple. Yet insiders report that this veneer is beginning to crack. Publicists and media professionals who previously offered private support to Lively are reportedly distancing themselves quietly, sensing that the momentum may be shifting. Observers note that her media appearances have increasingly taken on a reactive quality, responding to each new allegation or development connected to Baldoni rather than setting the narrative. This behavior, they add, is unusual for someone of her stature. Hollywood royalty rarely appears so visibly off balance. "You can't spin forever," one veteran PR executive remarked. Eventually, audiences and insiders alike start to see through the performance. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni, once cast by some narratives as the villain, has been earning respect through what observers describe as a quiet, strategic approach. His composure, patience, and refusal to participate in headline-grabbing antics have, according to commentators, begun to shift the perception entirely. What was once a battle fought purely in legal terms has increasingly become a reputational war, and the scales, insiders suggest, may now be tipping in Baldoni's favor. Each time Lively's team attempts to exert pressure via the press or control the public story, questions arise about the veracity of the narrative they have presented. Behind closed doors, reporters and industry sources are reportedly reconsidering long-held assumptions, wondering whether Baldoni has, in fact, been the party constrained by circumstance rather than the instigator of wrongdoing. The dynamic, insiders note, is emblematic of how swiftly influence and perception can shift in Hollywood. When the industry senses uncertainty or vulnerability, it moves quickly, and the carefully maintained armor that once protected Lively as America's sweetheart appears to be weakening. Observers caution that Reynolds' brand, closely entwined with hers, could also face repercussions if the narrative turns against the couple. All eyes are now on the upcoming appeal, described by commentators as the potential pivot point in the entire saga. Baldoni's silence, once misinterpreted by some as weakness, is increasingly viewed as a calculated strategy. Sources close to the legal proceedings say that his team is preparing a Second Circuit appeal, which, if accepted, could reopen the case entirely, exposing previously sealed evidence and fundamentally reshaping the public understanding of the dispute. Should that appeal go forward, every deposition, internal email, and communication involving Lively Reynolds and the companies implicated in earlier stages of the proceedings could be scrutinized. Legal experts have cautioned that portions of Baldoni's original claims might even be reinstated if the appellate court identifies procedural errors or inconsistencies in how the case was previously dismissed. In effect, what has appeared as a static legal battle may yet transform into a highly dynamic, publicly visible reckoning in which the stakes encompass not only legal outcomes but the carefully cultivated reputations and careers of some of Hollywood's most prominent figures. In this context, sources suggest the quiet patience and strategic restraint shown by Baldoni could prove decisive, potentially leaving Lively and Reynolds to confront the fragility of an image long thought invincible. In that scenario, Blake Lively's supposed victory could vanish almost overnight, leaving behind nothing but cold, undeniable reality. No more controlled headlines. No more polished PR statements, carefully crafted to manipulate perception, just the stark facts laid bare in front of a judge, the media, and a public already primed to dissect every move. For Justin Baldoni, this could represent a long-awaited path to redemption, a chance to quietly reclaim the narrative and show a steadier hand in a storm of public speculation. For Blake, however, the stakes are far higher: exposure, scrutiny, and the possibility that carefully curated images of perfection could crumble under the weight of hard evidence. Once the appeal is underway, she can no longer rely on Instagram posts, press releases, or the relentless spin of a devoted PR machine. Every truth that has been buried, however deep, risks resurfacing, clawing its way back into public view and revealing, according to insiders, the intricate maneuvers that may have been employed behind the scenes. Hollywood watchers say that when the truth hits Tinseltown, it does not whisper, it erupts. And those close to the case claim that the first signs of panic are already becoming apparent within Blake's inner circle. Chaotic conference calls, scrambled talking points, and frantic attempts to maintain control of the narrative have reportedly replaced the once flawless choreography of her media strategy, signaling that the empire of polished appearances is under strain. Outlets that once celebrated Lively are said to be stepping back, double-checking every press release, and even longtime allies are quietly reconsidering their associations. Nobody wants to go down with her, one industry insider remarked, emphasizing the growing perception that cracks in her carefully managed public image are widening. Meanwhile, Baldoni's quiet composure and strategic restraint appear to be paying dividends. By refusing to engage in the media circus, he has begun to earn respect from observers who note that authenticity and calm often speak louder than headlines. Fans on social media have started to question who has truly been honest throughout the saga, and industry commentators note that every attempt by Blake's team to regain control seems to only highlight inconsistencies and contradictions. For years, Lively projected a flawless image, the perfect wife, the elegant mother, the witty, untouchable star. But insiders report that cracks have always existed behind the Instagram-ready smiles. Her reputation, they suggest, was meticulously manufactured, with every red carpet moment, every carefully timed interview, and every calculated headline forming part of a comprehensive image campaign, executed alongside her PR strategist Leslie Sloan. That same obsession with control, insiders add, reportedly extended far beyond public appearances and into legal strategies, with those who questioned inconsistencies allegedly facing professional repercussions, including lost interviews, event invitations, or advertising opportunities. The looming appeal, insiders claim, now threatens to collide with this obsession for control. Once the case is reopened, every document, email, and internal communication that was once sealed or carefully managed could be scrutinized by courts, the media, and the public. Analysts suggest that this could expose the full extent of the influence exerted by Lively's inner circle, as well as the strategies deployed to shape perception and narrative. What was once a legal dispute is fast becoming a cultural touchstone, a rare glimpse into the machinery of Hollywood perfection, where illusion and reality collide. Industry experts note that this could have wider ramifications beyond Lively herself. If a star with such meticulous control over her image can be exposed, it sets a precedent and sends a cautionary message to the rest of the industry. Reporters are digging deeper, PR teams are on edge, and the media landscape, accustomed to carefully curated stories, is now poised to challenge long-held assumptions. Amid this turbulence, Baldoni has emerged as a figure of quiet resilience. Unlike Lively, he does not seek the camera, nor does he manipulate narratives for immediate public consumption. Observers note that his patience, strategic silence, and refusal to participate in media theatrics have begun to reshape public perception, presenting him as calm, composed, and ultimately more credible in the face of relentless scrutiny. Fans and industry insiders alike are beginning to recognize the contrast, while Lively's team is scrambling to rewrite narratives and stage victories. Baldoni's measured approach relies on transparency, integrity, and the slow but steady unveiling of facts. Hollywood, always enamored with the illusion of perfection, is witnessing a rare reversal, a quiet, understated figure gradually eclipsing a previously untouchable celebrity through consistency, patience, and restraint. In essence, the battle has evolved beyond mere legal arguments. It has become a clash between image and integrity, illusion and reality. The real question now is not whether Blake's carefully curated empire will crumble, but how spectacularly it will fall when it does, for those who believe that truth, patience, and authenticity eventually prevail. The next chapter promises revelation, consequence, and perhaps a reckoning unlike any Hollywood has recently witnessed. The headlines she once tightly controlled are turning against her, while Baldoni quietly waits unshaken, prepared to let reality speak for itself.